It was the start of summer vacation. Ashton was thrilled. There was only a few months before he would move to California. Ashton recently received an acceptance letter from the BII University. Ashton lived in Miami, Florida. He thought he would spend this summer with his close buddies, and especially with his girlfriend Amelia, before he left. But after a few days of partying, Ashton was sitting back at home with absolutely nothing to do. Ashton decided to get a job. Saving up some money was always a good idea, and it would come in handy when he started college. Ashton conveniently got a job as a supervisor at a new indoor swimming pool at a shopping center. Ashton had worked at a few places before, but he was excited about this job in particular. On his first day, the manager of the center called him to his office. He handed Ashton a pair of keys to the enclosure. Ashton smirked. He had gotten himself a grand opportunity. Now that he was in charge of closing and locking up the enclosure, that meant he would have the swimming pool all to himself at the end of the day. Just what he wanted. The first day that Ashton started to work at the swimming pool center, he met a lot of people. Since it was his first day, the manager had stayed with him and showed him around. Ashton was a bit disappointed. He was looking forward to jumping into that pool. Ashton went straight to a diner from work. Amelia was waiting for him there. "How did work go?" "I was looking forward to swimming all by myself after closing, but the manager was with me all day." "It was your first day. I'm sure you'll get a chance tomorrow. I ordered your favorite sundae." "Only a few months till September. I'm gonna miss coming here." "You'll only miss coming here? Aren't you going to miss anything else? Anyone?" "Yes, Amelia, there is. I'm going to miss your cute pet cat. We really got to bond over the last 3 years. Will you ever express your true feelings?" Ashton and Amelia stayed at the diner until it was late. He dropped off Amelia at her house before he went home himself. He couldn't forget he had work the next morning. The next day, not a lot of people came to the center. Ashton supposed today would go by slow. There was still an hour left until closing. Ashton sat down in the watchroom. He was a little elevated than the rest of the platform, so Ashton had a good view of the whole swimming pool. Only a few people had come in the whole day, the last of which went to the locker rooms to get ready to leave. Ashton wasn't expecting any other people to arrive so late. The area was now empty. Ashton went down to fix up the chairs. As he walked down, he began to get a strange feeling, like someone was watching him, following his every move. He took a quick glance around. There was no one but him. Ashton continued organizing some containers onto a shelf. He heard footsteps behind him. It sounded like someone got down into the pool. Ashton could hear the noise of the water ripples. Ashton arranged the box and said over his shoulder, "Please get out of the water, it's closing time." But it seemed as if the person hadn't heard him. Ashton sighed and turned around. At once, he froze. The enclosure was completely empty. Ashton was a bit spooked. He looked in every direction. There was nothing but silence. What was even more puzzling was that the water in the pool was absolutely still. Ashton shook his head. He was going crazy working here, fixing furniture all day. Now he was hearing ripples in the water. Ashton needed some fresh air. He quickly arranged the rest of the furniture and locked up the enclosure. Amelia was waiting for him outside the shopping center. "You're out early? How long were you waiting for me?" "Like an hour or so." "What's wrong? You don't look all right." "Nothing, just wasn't feeling too good." Maybe a walk around the park, some fresh air, and then the movies will make you feel better. Ashton smiled. Amelia always tried to make his day. He couldn't imagine life without her. The next day, at the enclosure, Ashton recognized some of the people who came. He spun his whistle as he watched all the people in the water. To be honest, the job was pretty boring. He was more of a cleanup guy than a real supervisor. He cleaned up the floats, made sure all the first aid equipment were available in stock just in case of emergencies. There was still 10 minutes till closing, and there was no one at the enclosure except for him. Finally, he had the pool all to himself, the moment Ashton had been waiting for. Ashton locked the front door of the enclosure and returned to the swimming pool. He leaped into the water and took a round before sitting up on the platform. Ashton climbed a step down in the pool. Suddenly, he felt something move by his feet. Ashton was startled. What was going on? Ashton started to panic. He became a little anxious. Just then, something grabbed him by the ankle, and within seconds, Ashton felt a strong tug. He slipped down onto the steps in the pool. Ashton struggled to hold still. He quickly gripped onto the handrails with all his strength. He tried to kick off whatever had grabbed onto him, but the force of the pull only increased. It was, however, only a few minutes before Ashton had managed to pull himself out of the pool. But those few minutes were nerve-wracking. Ashton felt a numbness in his feet. He stared at a red imprint of a hand around his ankles. There was no doubt that someone had grabbed him. Ashton stood up on the platform and checked the waters. He didn't see anyone, but Ashton was too nervous to get in the waters again. He ran to the watchroom and checked the security footage. Just as he thought, there was no one in the enclosure except for him. He fast-forwarded to the moment he sat down by the pool. To his amazement, when he closely examined the footage, there was no one there pulling him down. He was struggling in the water all by himself. Ashton was thundered. He looked out at the pool. It was pin-drop silent. Ashton got a strange feeling something wasn't right. He packed his things and rushed out of the shopping center that night. Ashton couldn't go to work the next morning. He had a high fever and couldn't get out of bed. Amelia came over to his house. "I brought you some soup. Don't worry, you'll get better soon. But I don't understand. What caused this sudden fever? Were you in the water for too long?" "No, Amelia. Something happened. I was all alone. I was sure there was no one there, but something grabbed my ankle from under the water." Ashton told Amelia what happened the previous night, but Amelia shook it off as a hallucination. Ashton showed her the marks on his ankle, but even then Amelia was skeptic. "Ashton, you need rest. This isn't the usual you. This is just a fever talking." When the fever had reduced after 3 straight days, Ashton returned to the center. But he went only to pick up his salary. Ashton had become paranoid. He feared getting into the water again. He decided to quit the job. Without much of a hassle, he picked up his check and gathered his belongings from the office. As he went out the front door, he met the security guard. The security guard looked at his things and said, "You're leaving the center early?" "No, Mr. Phillip, I quit the job. All of a sudden, what happened?" "Something strange happened when I was in the pool." "Mr. Phillip, you've been working here for many years now. Has there ever been any unusual accidents at the swimming pool enclosure?" "Well, this swimming pool enclosure is pretty old. This is most likely the 10th year since it first opened." 10 years? I thought this opened a few months back." No, you're mistaken. I've been here for about 5 years, and during these years, there's one incident that comes to mind. An elderly man named Raymond Schneider used to come here for swimming lessons. He had a strange paranoia about the water. Most of the instructors that worked here have left their jobs over the years. The instructor that was here 3 years ago wasn't too experienced, but he tried to encourage the elderly man and motivated him in completing his lessons. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Living in Florida for my whole life, and even at the age of 50, I don't know how to swim. Call me back in 15 minutes. Yes, Mr. Raymond Schneider. We learn new things every day, and swimming is easy, just like how you learned how to ride a bike. Once you learn it, you'll never forget it. I don't know about that. Don't worry, I'll be in the water with you. You have nothing to fear. See, you're doing great. Okay, this isn't that bad. Looks like that's my phone. I'll be right back. Wait, no, I won't be able to swim by myself. Just a minute, I'll be right back. After that incident, some people began complaining about the carelessness of the instructor. The swimming enclosure was kept closed for inspection. The enclosure later failed the inspection and had to be shut down. It was only recently that the center had been renovated with better safety precautions before it was reopened again. Hearing the strange incident behind the swimming enclosure only made Ashton even more paranoid. He spent the rest of the summer chilling at home and spending time with his friends. Before long, it was the end of August. Ashton boarded his flight to California. He waved his girlfriend goodbye. Call me when you get there. Amelia, I'll miss you. Life in California was great. The professors at BII were awesome. Ashton was enjoying the stay. Suddenly, early one morning, he got a call from Amelia. Ashton, get up right now. Did you check the BII newspaper? No, what happened? Check the article on the 4th page right now. Ashton got out of bed and checked the newspaper. It was about an event in Florida. Ashton was thundered to see it was about the swimming enclosure he worked at this summer. After he left, 2 other supervisors were hired, both of whom accidentally drowned in the pool. After another inspection, the swimming enclosure was shut down for good. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.